Now, let's look into this one, put that into an actual tactical plan. Right? Nothing really works without saying, okay, this is great, but how do I put this into my project plan? Or how do I bring the resources to execute the project? So in this context, what we're talking about is the requirement, which is what we already sort of talked about. It has the regulatory summary that gives a very thoughtful and summarized view of what this means to the institution, to your organization. When was it revised? What are the control taxonomies? And based on the control definition, as a user, you can write, it provides sort of a how it's supposed to be tested. So again, there is less of a guesswork there. So that's all packaged under requirements. I sort of already talked about the configurations in terms of making sure that you have the right glossaries and business definitions. So to Srikant's point earlier, if you are bringing in the control for your data input that goes into analytics model, what are the CDEs? Are they defined as your critical data attribute, data elements? What's the quality score of the data? And even if you have all the tools that's already part of your organization, those input has to be connected into the control workflow, because that's where the rubber meets the road, where the control is assessment happens. So that's on the configuration side. Then on the prioritization approval, a lot of times what we have seen is now the controls are defined. Let's just go ahead and put that into automation and execute in multiple workflows. But that's not how it's supposed to be handled. The way it's supposed to be handled is, what's my priority of my execution? Because you have a defined number of people who are responsible for this, and getting more budget, adding more people, it takes 6 months to a 12 months period. But if you think about the prioritization in a way that which controls are impacting my my financial risk, what are the controls are defined, the regulatory that have already given us the notice that we have to improve, otherwise we may get a notice. These are all the sort of criteria has to be factored in those in the control priority, as the prioritization of the control. Then we go into the next sort of steps about sandbox testing, and we are calling that a sandbox testing by design, because it is more than sort of testing with your controls and the code. It is about evaluating which processes are likely to be impacted in production, because you don't want to move into production and then find out not only your controls are failing, but it has a severe downstream or other impacts as well. So that's the sandbox testing. And then, of course, a lot of your organization have a change management process, follow that, and then bring that into production where it's tested and it provides the output. And then sometime you will see those controls are failing due to your data has changed, condition has changed, and the longitudinal aspect of the data also has changed. So that's the variance. If it fails, most of the time what we have seen is it takes, again, significant amount of time to even understand the root cause. But with the technology, it tells you a possible root cause so that you don't spend a lot of time in troubleshooting them. So this process, what we just talked about, it isn't new. We're not reinventing the wheel here. This is the type of process you already have for your app development or your other aspects of the organization where they're focusing on building the applications. What we are taking that, what we're calling as an agile software development, robust engineering, bringing that into the control framework and treating this as a data project, but with the right risk and approval prioritization process. Once if it is done in a workflow, it basically follows very similar software development lifecycle. Okay. Now, that sort of is the first time it will take the time to build it, but the ongoing changes that we talked about, which is when a regulatory change happens, these are all the textual sort of change. How do you know the change for a CFPB TILA regulations? How does it compare to the previous version? And this is where, again, some of the Gen AI technology comes into the picture that tells you what is the specific change we are talking about, which control ID, and what is the change means to you. And those are all, again, the change requirement document that's captured, and then it follows through similar process of the pipeline that we just talked about.